Ladies and gentlemen, it is said that great things are done by a series of small things brought together. And I believe today we're here for a great thing, a big deal. Yes. Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, other Cabinet Ministers, Ms. Tova Hamilton, Member of Parliament, North Trelawny, other Members of Parliament that are with us this afternoon, Mr. Antoine Simenel, Deputy Head of Mission, French Embassy in Jamaica, Mr. Aniceto Rodriguez Ruiz, Head of Cooperation and Delegation of the European Union to Jamaica, Belize, and the Bahamas, Mrs. Arlene Williams, our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, His Worship, the Mayor of Falmouth, Councillor Colin Gager, other mayors present, Bishop, the Honourable Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotalorum of the Parish of St. James, councillors of our various municipalities or municipal authorities, chairman and other members of the Board of Commissioners and of the management and staff of the National Water Commission, heads of agencies and other senior personnel from the various ministries and regulatory authorities, Mr. Timothy Delabar, country manager, and other representatives of Contractor Vinci Construction, Reverend Sheldon Ashman of the Hanover Ministers Fraternal, private and public sector leaders and development partners, members of the media, residents of Trelawny and other Western parishes who will benefit from this project, other distinguished guests, esteemed ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And a good afternoon it is. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to have the honors of taking us through the program this afternoon. I believe it's such an important activity to mark the start of a transformative project that is so important, not just to Western Jamaica, but certainly all of Jamaica. And so it is my pleasure, and I'm happy to have you, and I invite you at this time to be upstanding for our national anthem. Mr. Music. If you do not play, then I'll have to sing, and I'm not a good singer. I don't have a good singing voice. Okay. Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Teach us true respect for all. Stir response to duty's call. Strengthen us the weak to cherish. Give us vision lest we perish. Knowledge send sounded so beautiful. Thank you so much. We had our own choir this afternoon singing such a beautiful national anthem. Allow me at this time to invite Reverend Sheldon Ashman, who is the pastor of the Mount Moriah Circuit of Baptist Churches, all the way in Hanover, to bless us at this time. Reverend Ashman, please make him welcome.
I invite us, wherever you are, to bow your heads and your hearts as we look to God in prayer. We praise you, O Lord our God, creator of heaven and earth and sea and sky and all that is in it. We acknowledge your sovereignty over our lives. We acknowledge that it is in you that we live and move and have our existence, that without you we are nothing. We've come in your presence, Lord, grateful for the opportunity that you have given to us. We praise you for the gifts, the many gifts that you have bestowed upon us. The gift of life, health, strength. We thank you for the gift of this beautiful nation, Jamaica, land we love. We thank you that it has been designated as a land of wood and water. And in a very special way, we thank you for that aspect of water for which we are gathered here today, as we seek, Lord, to launch and to break ground for the Western Resilience Water Project. We thank you for the visionaries and the conceptualizers. We thank you, Lord, for this particular project and for those who will be beneficiaries of this project. We pray, Lord, that those who will have responsibility for its execution, that you will grant unto them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Grant leadership to those who will spearhead this project, so that it will be completed within budget, on time, and to the benefit of all those who will benefit from it. And so we commit and commend this function into your hands and pray that you will have your own way. May all that we do and say bring glory and honor to you, we pray, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
And we all endorse the words of that prayer by saying, Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. The Western Resilience Water Project launch and groundbreaking ceremony. That's why we're here this afternoon. The chairman has the honor of bringing the special welcome, and so I'd like to bring him to the lectern at this time. He's Mr. Michael Shaw, chairman of the National Water Commission. A round of applause.
Thank you very much, Lady MC. You will have to pay close attention because I'm soft-spoken. So I'm going to crave your indulgence, given the time, to say protocol observed. I believe we may have missed on the Honorable Edmund Bartlett, who has taken the time to join us today. We appreciate you, sir. So, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the National Water Commission, it is my distinct honor and privilege, as a matter of fact, to welcome you to this landmark occasion. But I'm not going to rule out the elephant in the room, which is this bright yellow shirt. I couldn't get past my daughter with it today. And she said, well, it is the dawn of a new day in water, hence the yellow. I was hoping that Minister Bartlett got one, but I think he got away with it. We're especially grateful for the presence of all of you here today. It shows that you have this dedication to this cause. So I want to say a special welcome to all of our partners that have turned up today. All the folks who have made it out to come and celebrate this real transformative chapter in Jamaica's history. And I keep hearing the word transformative, and I want to kind of just change it up a little bit and to say something that it is a major, major milestone with this event today. This is a multi-billion-dollar project that will change Jamaica forever. From the crops in the field, to the hotels on the coastline, to the households, and the regular Jamaicans who struggle with water. Today I say to you, this is going to be a major change. And we take the opportunity as well, as the premier water service provider in Jamaica. This will distribute nearly 190 million gallons of potable water. It will impact a multitude of our economy, straight across this entire corridor. This massive multi-phase Western Resilience Water Project will not only modernize and transform much of our infrastructure in Western parishes, but will add some 35 million additional water capacity island-wide. This in total is about 18% increase. Hence, this is not merely a groundbreaking we are doing today. It is a bold investment in health. It's a bold investment in tourism, in commerce. Water, as you know, is the foundation of all progress. Don't take this thing lightly. This project spans over 100 kilometers of pipeline network and further strengthens the NWC's effort to interconnect communities, service corridors from Negril Point in the west right across the island to the borders of St. Mary and Portland in the east. These interconnections have positioned NWC to respond swiftly, efficiently, and reliably to Jamaicans and to their needs. In spite of the ravages of where we live in the Caribbean, we continue to work hard to strengthen our structures. Indeed, the Western Resilience Water Project will be the greatest contributor to achievement of NWC's strategic objectives that we will continue to work with throughout this year. It will increase customer satisfaction and public image, increase our operational efficiencies and service reliability, improve coverage, revenues, which is my baby, cash flow. It will improve staff and institutional capacity. As chairman, I wish to commend the teams, the technical team, the operational team, the administrative team, the minister who will lose sleep every night as we call him to ensure that this continues, all our partners who are the project operators. We want to say to you, thanks. We're holding you accountable for the deliverables. To our investors out there, I want to encourage them to start to write the checks, because this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It is going to bring water to well-needed communities, so you can start to build the hotels. You can start to build the cafes. You can start to build the restaurants along the corridor. You are going to get water. So today, we break ground not just on infrastructure, but an opportunity, a resilience, and a future for a better Jamaica. Welcome once again, and thank you for sharing this momentous occasion with us. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And may I have another round of applause for him? Multi-billion dollars that will change Jamaica forever. And that is a very bold statement. And we look forward to everything coming to fruition. Thanks again, Mr. Shaw. At this time, we have a video presentation highlighting the overview of the project. Please turn your attention to the screens.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. That's why the government of Jamaica, through the NWC and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, MEGJC, is taking steps to ensure that substantial parts of Western Jamaica will be water resilient to meet not only immediate but long-term demand. This will be done through the Western Resilience Water Project, a revolutionary groundbreaking water investment initiative that will yield life-changing positive benefits for current and future generations. The focus of the project is to boost reliability and consistency in water supply along the Western Parishes Corridor, which is the project area. The geographical location of the project area: it runs from the Roaring River in Westmoreland on the western section to the Bogue Water Treatment Plant in St. Anne in the northeastern area of the island. Vinci Construction Grand Projects is the contractor for the project, and Timothy Delabar is Vinci's country manager.
So the Western Water Resilience Project is a combination of different types of work that are aimed at improving the water system in the northwestern parishes of Jamaica, that being Trelawny, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. It is composed of 3 phases at the moment: 1 pipeline phase, 1 expansion of the water treatment capacity at 2 treatment plants, and a 3rd one adding another treatment plant and another pipeline. All of that to improve production and the transmission and the distribution of potable water for those 4 parishes.
The overall budget for the project is approximately $67.5 billion. The budget for phase 1 is approximately $28 billion.
The pipeline phase is a 3-year component. We intend to start the detailed designs and site investigations as early as August, and I will go for a duration of 3 to 4 months. We expect the first batch of pipelines, they're manufactured abroad, and so we will bring them in hopefully before the end of the year, and the pipe laying work will start at different locations, starting at the end of this year, going for the next 2.5 years after that.
The Western Resilience Water Project is a strategic investment in the future that takes into account climatological events. State-of-the-art technology is a crucial component of the project.
The project will bring in new ductile iron pipes, which are known for their longevity, their resistance to corrosion, their resistance to earth movement, and their resistance to pressure. These pipelines will be on different diameter, but they will be an upsize of the existing infrastructure. So it will, 1, guarantee the longevity of the new infrastructure and the capacity, so that we can move more water through these lines.
That makes me ecstatic, and I hope that with the bigger pipes come bigger pumps so that the water pressure can increase as well. Because on days that we do have the water, the pressure may be a little not wonderful because, again, it's on the hill, but that would be very good so that at the end of the day we can consume the water more regularly and not have to worry to try to get our chores done in time, in terms of scheduling whenever we're going to have water again.
It is key to understand that Jamaica is well equipped with infrastructure, but it suffers from aging infrastructure. So the first point is you have to be able to renew infrastructure before they finish their life expectancy, if you see what I mean. The second is we have a growing population, even more on the northwestern parishes where there's a center of tourism, mass tourism in Jamaica, and therefore the demand is high. And third, we also suffer from climate change, and therefore the rain don't come where we want them to come. There are challenges in terms of quantity of rain and when they fall, so it's important to adapt the infrastructure and have the vision so that we can plan for the years coming rather than trying to catch up from the...
That view of a growing demand is supported by a resident of Trelawny, Ricardo Comrie.
I'm near the commercial area. I'm in the middle. I'm seeing about 7 or 8 apartment complexes going up. Also, on the other side of the road, from about the Trelawny signs to the Falmouth sign, there's a lot of commercial spaces. So it's needed, the infrastructure is needed. A lot of times, a lot of developments happen and I don't think about the right to live, which is water. And most persons say, hey, I'd rather have the water than the light. And so it's needed because, you know, you can do without light for a couple of times, but you don't want to do without the water. So it's a much needed project, I commend the NWC for doing this, and I look forward to getting a wonderful water supply than it was before.
Getting to a point where the project can now be executed involved several but necessary administrative processes. Glester Cunningham, the NWC's Vice President for Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring, explains.
So there is a unit within what is called the Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring Division, and that's called the Public-Private Partnerships and Project Finance Unit. In this case, they were responsible for the preparation of the PIAB submission, which allowed us to enter the project in the Public Investment Management System to be financed by the Government of Jamaica. PIAB is a Public Investment Advisory Board. It's being funded by the Government of Jamaica. It's a significant investment, a US $176 million project.
Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, played a pivotal role in the realization of this pioneering water project.
After some significant lobbying on the part of President and the Executive, the Minister with responsibility for water, Honorable Matthew Samuda, he is a champion for us, to be honest. And he sought the support from his fellow parliamentarians, our cabinet members, to find support for the NWC for this very, very important project. As I said, it's along the north coast, along the tourism belt, very, very important economically. It supports about 188,000 local residents. Well over 1 million tourists visit that part of the island on an annual basis. It's a significant investment for us.
And now everyone, including today's generation, is looking forward to the benefits to flow. Meet Jeremiah Clark Medina, an aspiring future medical doctor.
I think it's a very big thing, and I've been talking to my friends recently that farmer needs a lot of help, actually, so I think it's very important. 5 years from now, I see myself finishing NCU and hopefully getting into medical school. Becoming a professional, you don't have to have that worry that water is a problem. So you can focus on the other important stuff, you know?
It's a view shared by another young person who hails from St. James.
That's actually good. You know, in the area that I live in, St. James, in the country area, it's not really running water. It's there in my community and I have access to it. However, because a lot of people are on the line and the pressure is not so good, it's kind of say one person is using it and then another person doesn't have water and then the person stops using it and so it's kind of like a thing. And then some areas of the community have full access to the water and other areas do not.
As part of the project, there'll be the construction of the new Rio Bueno water treatment plant and the installation of a transmission main to benefit sections of St. Anne, including Runaway Bay and Ocherius. That development is being uploaded.
For our growth. So if you guys really want to come in here, do it fast, because I want this thing to continue. I don't want to have any problem with water supply. Especially for my business, I don't want to have water turn off on the people. We can't have to use the bathroom and stuff like that. So I really wish you guys get it together and get it together good.
That would be great, because there's so many areas in Runaway Bay that still don't have water, and water is at a central location and then persons have to go to that location to get water. So that would be an excellent idea.
The Western Resilience Water Improvement Project. It's about people-centered development. It's about quality service delivery. It's about improving lives.
By improving the water supply in the community, it will be very much appreciated. So because I'm paying up to about $10,000 like monthly for water supply in my community.
The NWC, through its parent ministry, the MEGJC, serving Jamaica in so many ways. The best way to predict the future.
Bold and transformative, our overview of the Western Resilience Water Project. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with me as we make welcome our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. And we see how wide-ranging this project is going to be, and the many, many, many communities that this will touch in the near future. And that's such a great thing. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. And having welcomed our Prime Minister, we're going to continue with the program. At this time, we are going to hear from Mr. Timothy Delebar, Country Manager, Vinci Construction Grand Projects. Put your hands together for him as he comes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. I am so pleased to see us all gathered here in Trelawny. And this place is special to my heart. This is where my Jamaican career started 20-odd years ago. A wise man once told me, that's back in 2005, that Jamaica needed a ring pipe. A pipe that can move water across the island to address the regional and seasonal shortfall. This wise man goes by the name of E.G. Hunter, former NWC president. Well, I'm pleased to share with you an exciting new chapter for Vinci Construction and the National Water. Last year, we were awarded the contract for the solution to improve the flexibility in the transfer phase. It enabled us to design an optimal solution to build, and it aims at interconnecting the different cities along the North Coast. So EG's vision is coming to reality. The purpose of the project is clear. It's in the name of the program, Western Water Resilience Program. It is to aim at making the Western parishes more resilient by replacing the aging infrastructure, by significantly improving the supply of potable water across Jamaica northwestern parishes. And the need is urgent. Demand is rising, is driven by population growth, thriving tourism sector, economic development, and is challenged by climate change and shifting rainfall patterns, and is placing additional stress on an already struggling system. This phase of the program consists in the design and construction of major new transmission pipeline, and the project stretches from Falmouth to Negril. It includes the supply and the installation of ductile iron pipeline, 500 millimeter, 600 millimeter, 700 and 800 millimeter, so large trunk mains. That makes it the largest pipeline project in the history of Jamaica. And the work will span over 3 years. Our teams and the local subcontractors will carry out extensive pipe laying works all along the North Coast main road. We're fully committed to minimize traffic disruption, and for that we'll engage with stakeholders at an early stage. We'll have to put strong traffic management measures to ensure the safety of our working team, the road users, and the public. We're also deeply aware of the environmental sensitivity of the region. The North Coast is a national treasure. We will take every precaution to protect its natural beauty and its biodiversity through the project. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the Government of Jamaica, to the National Water Commission. Thank you for your trust, thank you for your collaboration, and thank you for your bold vision. Launching a project of this scale and doing so in such record time, this is no small feat. We also thank all stakeholders and partners supporting this effort. As the chairman mentioned earlier, I think this project, we're not only building infrastructure, we are truly building resilience, opportunity, and stronger and better future for the people of Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timothy Delabar. And he is the country manager for Vinci Construction Grand Projects. Now, I'm glad you gave some warning so that persons know that there is going to be pain in pleasure. So it's not just going to happen overnight. You should anticipate a little bit of discomfort at some point in time, but it is all for the overall good at the end of the day. So the folks will have to be patient and be cooperative when it comes to traffic and all of that. And I'm really very happy that part of the consideration is the maintenance of the biodiversity and the natural beauty of the country. So thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a video presentation. This time, we're going to look at the impact of the project. Please turn your attention to the screen.
A new day is dawning for several communities in Western Jamaica. The Western Resilience Water Project is a game changer to improve the delivery of quality potable water for several major towns such as Savannah-Lamar and Negril in Westmoreland, Montego Bay, Arnshore and Rosal in St. James, and Duncan's in Trelawny, just to name a few. As part of the overall project, existing transmission mains will be replaced and or rehabilitated. Treatment plants, namely Martha Bray in Trelawny and Great River in St. James, will be expanded to increase water production capacity. Over in Westmoreland, there will be the expansion of the Roaring River Venture Water Treatment Plant and Transmission Main, while in St. Anne, residents can look forward to the construction of the new Rio Bueno Water Treatment Plant and the installation of a transmission main. These are large-scale water infrastructural developments that will positively impact lives and livelihoods. As the government breaks ground for phase 1 of the project that focuses on upgrading the existing transmission main between Montego Bay Great River Water Treatment Plant in St. James to the Queens of Spain new Martha Bray Water Treatment Plant system in Trelawny, it must be noted that it took hard work to get to this point. Marlene Malahoo Fort should know. She's the current Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. Prior to this, however, she wore a different hat and worked alongside the Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, to bring the project to a decisive juncture.
So the water project was declared a national project, a national strategic project, and that was done with my, let's just say, I ensure that it got to the Parliament on time. And interestingly, for a long time, many were not sure how to proceed with projects like those. When I was in the role of Attorney General, I advised the government on an approach to take, and that has really made it possible for the mega projects to go through the system without glitches. So the water project is one of those projects, and I was happy to work alongside Minister Matthew Samuda to ensure that the order came to Parliament, which would then take it outside of the cumbersome procurement process and to the place where we can now do what needs to be done.
She's also the Member of Parliament for St. James West Central. The constituency will benefit from the project.
I have said to my St. James West Central constituents that the government has been working to deal with the water problem, and that in a short period of time, the water issues will be behind us. So in St. James West Central, we have the Great River plant. And in the neighboring Trelawny, we have the Martha Bray plant. And then over in Westmoreland, we have Lawgood. So this project is going to be dealing with all of the issues from Trelawny into St. James over into Westmoreland, Hanover, of course, in between two. And I'm really excited because it was not just talk, but there is process and there is event. And the water infrastructure has been old, dilapidated, just no investment for many years. So we have water, but we don't have the infrastructure that will store the water properly, channel the water, distribute it, you name it, all parts of it. So I'm really, really, really excited because, you know, we just underestimate the misery factor when you turn on your pipes and you can't see the water.
The Western Parishes Corridor, which is the project area, is also central to Jamaica's tourism industry. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett notes that the project will benefit not only residents, but also the tourism industry. He's the Member of Parliament for St. James East Central.
We're very excited about the prospects of having adequate water supply in the Western Parishes. My constituency really suffers, as is well known, and the Martha Brae source, which is the largest source in Western Jamaica, except of course to the Black River, which is on the southwestern side. But the Martha Brae, certainly for the northwestern side, is the largest source. And we are very, very elated by the fact that the government has enabled, you know, a resource support that will guarantee now the Western Parishes to have adequate potable water. That's more than a critical fillip, because the bigger picture is that the communities around must not feel that they are denied water while the resorts have it. So to ensure that there's adequacy of supply for both is absolutely ideal.
A project of this magnitude is quite necessary, as several of the pipelines are old. They break often, and there are leaks along the transmission mains. Representative of Westmoreland Western Moreland Wilson is quite familiar with this reality and underscores the importance of the project to residents.
This is magnanimous. I mean, for people in Western Jamaica, in particular Negril, this is welcome news. And if you speak to some of them, they will tell you that this is long overdue. Negril and Western Jamaica in particular has been suffering from water shortage for the better part of the last 30 years. In fact, we haven't had any major investment in our water infrastructure in that side of the island for quite some time. I think the last project was in Bullstead, in the constituency of Westmoreland Western. And for that reason, we have seen where the population has grown. We have seen where development has taken place with businesses. Hotels have come into this space, have expanded, and that all had led to water in greater demand. We have not had the consequence or the reciprocal investment, and that is why this project is so important.
As part of the project, there will be additional production capacity at the new Martha Brae water treatment plant in Trelawny. This is part of several benefits for the people of that parish. Tova Hamilton is the representative for Trelawny Northern, and she is looking forward to the impact of the project on the lives of residents.
I will say that the Western Resilience Project is what real transformation looks like. I think having steady, reliable water in communities is very good, especially for communities that have been waiting for far too long. I think it is groundbreaking. I think residents will be very happy. We do have a water problem in Trelawny Northern, and I am hoping that a few communities will stop having anxiety at nights. I will declare, though, that we do have some areas that I would really love the NWC to have additional look on. But for this project, I'm very happy about it. I'm pleased. There are communities that are looking forward. And I will just hope that we will continue to choose Jamaica and choose vision and choose prosperity. And that water is not a luxury, it is a right.
Water is life. The commodity is precious. Member of Parliament for St. James Central Hero Clark believes that residents will appreciate the investment.
This is going to make sure that the old lines are taken out. We are going to put in bigger lines to take more water into the communities so that the resident will feel a lot comfortable.
Member of Parliament for Hanover Western Tamika Davis also believes the Western Resilience Water Project will go a far way to address the water challenges of that constituency.
This is absolutely great news. As you may be aware, in Western Hanover, we have challenges with water, and it is just great news because, as I understand it, the leg from Great River to Negril will be improved, and that is just great news. We are looking forward to the implementation and execution of this, and I know everyone in Hanover, be it Eastern or Western, will benefit greatly from this project.
Dave Brown, the Member of Parliament for Hanover Eastern, agrees.
It's a win-win for all, especially persons in the Hanover belt, because we have always had this issue where we have been bypassed by the persons claim that we have been bypassed by the Great River water supply system, which runs through the constituency or the parish.
The NWC partnering with MegJC to ensure.
All right, Western Resilience Water Project. And just sharing there with some of our members of Parliament who understand how impactful this project is going to be. And we didn't see Dr. Chang up there, but we know that his constituency is also very much impacted, and it's going to be a blessing, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe. At this time, let me bring him to the lectern to speak with us. Our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang. Put your hands together for him. Make him welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, let me the shirt maker was going to make my size shirt, so I think it'll be too small. I don't recognize on the Honorable Michael Holness, our Prime Minister. Welcome to this parish of Trelawny, the Western region, as you're always. My colleague ministers, Minister Ed Bartlett, Minister of Tourism and Neighboring Constituency, and Minister Samuda, who was on the way to the West, but he decided to stop in St. Anne. Member of Parliament, my colleague, Earl Clark from Montego Bay Central, Deputy Speaker of the House, MP Tober Hamilton, the councillors or the officials present, of course, Chairman of the Water Commission, the Managing Director of Vinci, my good friend Timothy de la Barre. Oh, Homer, you're on this far right, so you get to this far now. My colleague, Minister Homer Davis from Southern St. James, and many distinguished visitors and members of constituents from all across Western Jamaica, in particular Trelawny and St. James. Good afternoon to you. I'm not sure why I was once selected to speak up here, but first let me say I'm allowed to make a few remarks, and the appropriate person will introduce the Prime Minister who needs an introduction. And my remarks may be interpreted by some in a different light, but we're a democratic country, and elections are due this year, and every one of you have to make a decision in relation to your future and the future of the country. I think one of the things we do by the traditional loyalties is we get out there and we vote, because I'm a member of the Labour Party for many years, so to the other members here, and they are members of the PNP. But we're a developing country, and I think I'd like to make a remark as to how to remind ourselves that government matters, policy matters, and the program matters for the country and where we're going. I think I was asked to speak this morning because I've had some relations with water. In fact, I met Timothy while I was Minister of Water, and his good friend, late Etienne, and so did I meet Easy to the Managing Director of Water Commission. Water is life, and that's the truism. It's one of the elements you cannot live without for very long. And it is critical to development. I think Falmouth as a city had one of the first water development in the island. 1799, I think, was they started. At that time, that water supply was not only adequate, it was almost more than adequate. It came from the Martha Brae and made Falmouth one of the more prosperous and central points on the North Coast. But country develops and systems must evolve. Eventually that went awry. I think aspect of it that hangs around like historical venues in the banks of the Martha Brae. Later on, the country created two water companies, National Water Authority governed the rural areas with a series of systems, and then there's a corporate area system at the time, Kingston St. Andrew water supply system. In 1980, the new government of Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Josiah, created the National Water Commission, designed to provide a national body to supply the entire island and do it at a professional level where you needed engineers, people who understand hydrology and others to develop a water system. That means not only developing production, but adequate distribution to meet the growing demand of a developing country and also contribute to the growth of the country. That, of course, required a government that understood the demands of development and continued this. So, in fact, very early on, the system was, the old market-based system came out of that National Water Commission. I had the privilege of being in the Water Commission in the first iteration of the Labour Party government between 2007 and 2011. By then, of course, the entire island had inadequate systems. It's a fact. This is not a partisan or political issue, it's just a fact of life. And we initiated a program which was calculated to cost the country about $3 billion to begin to take our water supply system not only to be more resilient, as indicated in the title for the Western Resilient Water Project, but to provide adequate supply. And during that short 5-year term, of course, the cost of infrastructure on that side was never really thought about. So it took us a little while, but I was able to commit near $700 million to water, and that's where we met Vinci. We activated another 2 projects associated with that. There was the KSA project for over $100 million, and we had a project from the Japanese for $89 billion. And in a 12-month period, we were able to negotiate with Vinci and did it along similar lines as a national project and start a project that prevented the entire corporate area from running out of water. It is hard to envisage that, but it didn't happen, so nobody appreciated it. But we had to rebuild the entire Constant Spring plant, which supplies 18 million gallons of water to Kingston. It was down to 10. And Kingston was going through a period in 2009 when water at University Hospital, the schools on that side of Kingston were closing half day and sometimes not open at all. But we resolved that, but behind that, we had designed enough, we had committed enough plan or designed enough to extend water across that, including the system. In fact, we worked closely with engineers and designed a system that said would require about $3 billion US. The government changed, and everything stopped like you turn a door and lock the key with a key. They were able to complete the project in the corporate area, Jamaica Water Sector Improvement Project, which those from Kingston are aware of and the Water Commission are aware of, which ensured that we have water in Kingston to drink today. Nothing was done otherwise to continue a program which was crucial to the development of the country. I said the project in the Water Commission just stopped. Like you close the door and lock the key with the key. And that is a fact of history. And not doing what the government changed, plans changed, programs changed, and the entire rehabilitation of the water system stopped. And it was inevitable that we got to this point. And when I keep you all day, how long my prime to speak, got other implications for the corporate area. But that project, those projects that I initiated on the Jamaica Water Sector Improvement, activated in the KSA program, which, interestingly and why government and leadership matters, and we're going to hear the prime so well. The funding for the KSA program sat in the Bank of Jamaica for 9 years and was not used. 9 long years without being used. The reports I had to go over that. The JICA program was on for nearly 7 years, and when it was completed, the Japanese ambassador called me to thank me for ensuring it was executed. Those projects ensure that Kingston had water. In fact, we have had no more complaints in Spanish Town, and aspects of the supply of Kingston, there's still a problem, is being dealt with by the current minister, the Prime Minister. But had we continued with the program, and in that program is a nebulous program in the air. It is something that, if you go to the engineering department at Vinci, they have designs. If you go to the Water Commission, they have them documented, that we could have executed. All it took was a decision. It required a decision by the government every day to make that we needed to institute these activities. we would never have had the problem we're having today. It is today when I got up this morning to indicate I'm getting ready to come to Trelawny. Well, the first news I got from my minister was that the main line from Martlebury to Montego Bay break again. It is so old, once you put the pressure on it, bust right before the police station, one more pipeline gone. Which means my entire constituency of a population of 100,000 is without water, without running water. It's not like a little rural district where you want running water, but you can set a truck of water in there and they get water. You can fill a tank on the roadside and some people will catch on this. Primitive, but they will get water. There's no way you can truck water to 100,000 people. We're talking there 20,000 houses. My colleague Ira Clark is in the same boat. There's no water between Central and Northwest St. James. My friend Ed Bartlett has major problem, but not the 100%. He's got that big area, right? So too my colleague who spoke earlier, Ms. Marlene Ford. And that is all because this system should have been changed a long time ago. And that's why I say without apology, government matters, leadership matters. How do we continue to execute on the program of rehabilitation for the Water Commission? This would not have happened. What happened in Montego Bay would not be happening. And therefore, it is to the commendation of not the Water Commission, but to the Prime Minister, who have initiated a program of this sort to ensure Jamaica's infrastructure is resilient, but not only resilient, is future-proof. So that Minister Bartlett can seek negotiations to build hotels that there'll be water, not broken mains every time the hotel come on. A hotel takes, of the size being built, like out by Anshore, will require up to 3 million gallons of water per day to keep active. But you cannot wait until the hotel is built to put the water there. Our guests will come and leave while the hotel not open. And that's why government matters. So I'm not asked to where to vote or what to, but think about what you do, because this is a democracy. So I'm not talking to the General Secretary this morning. I'm talking to a public servant, the elected public servant, because sometimes we just sit down, nothing will go on, and nothing will happen. Government matters and leadership matters. Okay? Take strong leadership for the Prime Minister to commit this kind of money. $176 billion here. It's the only government that's committed this kind of money. In 2008, 2009, it was a Labour Party government that committed $211 million to ensure that Kingston still have water to drink. And the process, when we were doing the infrastructure and highways, initiated large funding to complete that process in there. So today, I'm very pleased to be here, despite of the challenges of this morning, when I said my concerns have no water. And because it's an urban area, we do have water trucks are out too much, and the water trucks themselves are old, you're in trouble. And I can't say what I have to do, but I find trucks that have tanks and tell them go get water out there. And of course, I want to thank the Water Commission leadership in Montego Bay to allow me to allow those trucks to go to the water, because I have to get water in the community. Advise the community to take the water, and if they want to drink, they will boil it or they'll buy drinking water. But they need water for a lot of things, and we have had to commandeer, literally, trucks around Montego Bay, and we're getting some water out. And I have to give thanks to the Water Commission. We're not supposed to just give out water like that, but in the face of what we have, they're incorporating. But this morning, it's certainly pleasing to be here as we launch the Western Resilience Water Project, which will see the pipeline laid out by the Vice President of Vinci, who is here in charge of Jamaica, across the northwestern region. Ultimately, we'll have to do the circle for the island, Timothy, and maybe you're young enough to be here, and we'll be there long enough to start it. I'm confident this Prime Minister will ensure we start the process. We may not go right around the island immediately, but we're going to take some of all this water on the north side and get to the south. But the entire north coast, the western region, and the south coast will have adequate potable water. Jamaica has adequate potable water. What we need is the infrastructure to produce and distribute. And this government, under the leadership of Andrew Holness, is committed to ensuring that, because water is fundamental to development in any society. Again, Marisa, I'm looking straight at you and it coming. Yes, the thing without the yellow shirt and green, I greeted you earlier. My member of parliament from the south who has tremendous water problem. She will not benefit from this one, but I think the Cross River is coming very nearby. Right? There's work being done to ensure the communities have water. In fact, Ms. Hampton was sitting and a little bit happy to see this water project, telling me that all over North she don't have the water on the coastline. The hotels have water, she want water. But I will venture to anticipate my minister, who has a lot of things to talk about, and tell her that the Bounty Hall should be operational today, and we'll come back at it. And that's the water she wants saying. Right? Ensure it is going. The commitment of the government, of this government, is to ensure that the basic infrastructure is in place to accommodate development for commercial and residential. There are big issues that Andrew Holness had to face as Prime Minister. Infrastructure, roadways, he's building highways. We started discussing the perimeter road in 2003. It is 20 years later, Andrew Holness as Prime Minister started that road to bring relief and development opportunities to Montego Bay and create the condition that down there. Water we're discussing all along. In fact, in that same era, and he has committed to doing it. We have been dealing with the murder rates of over 1,000 from 2020. With his investment, the policy created that he has directed to me as National Security Minister, we see murder rate going down. And in urban areas, like my constituency, we see night activities again, from futsal to prayer meetings, active, and people go about their business peacefully. It is his commitment to tackle the big challenges and provide a foundation of development. This is one more major project using Jamaica's money, because the giant in the room was always how you manage the economy. And this project is being financed by dollars and cents from the taxpayers' money. So when all the talk is around, it's your money. Jamaicans can talk again, even without any increase in tax for 9 years, that across the country we are doing major infrastructure project. Not a little bit some. Not a little crash program. People are getting real jobs in hotels, real jobs everywhere. And at the same time, we are seeing our infrastructure go to development levels. That's the commitment of our Prime Minister. And I want to say, it's my privilege and pleasure to be beside him. And it's a privilege this morning to again be participating in one more major project built by Labour for the people of Jamaica. I thank you all. Have a good afternoon and a good day. Choose Jamaica correctly.
Thank you very much. Our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang. Thank you for giving us a little bit of the history, taking us back and putting things into perspective as we work to future-proofing our water infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Matthew Samuda is Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He is with us this afternoon, and it is my pleasure to bring him to the lectern. Please put your hands together for him.
Thank you, Madam Master of Ceremonies. Allow me to briefly acknowledge the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, Deputy Prime Minister Horace Chang, Minister Ed Bartlett, colleague Minister Homer Davis, MPs, especially Madam Tova Hilton and Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert. Thank you for having us in Trelawny this afternoon. Allow me to also acknowledge the senior management team of the National Water Commission and indeed the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation led by Madam Arlene Williams. Of course, allow me to welcome Vinci, and I will dive into the substance of the presentation. Now, a lot has been made about the transformational nature of this project. And before we get into the substance of this project, one of the issues I would like to deal with frontally, Madam MP, is that often when you do these national projects that see water going across parish borders, going across constituency borders, the question is asked, as it was asked of us at the Pepper Wells, Prime Minister, Why are you moving my water and I have particular challenges within proximity? So, Madam MP, before we get into the substance of this particular project, I'm happy to report that the issues that you're facing in Bounty Hall will be resolved before the end of July. The Bounty Hall system has a 2 million gallon tank, and that tank is being reconfigured and fixed. We are installing standby pumps, and we're also doing some pipe work. This will boost supply within this area to Bounty Hall with over an additional 1 million gallons daily, Madam MP. So as your constituents listen, and those listen externally and certainly nationally, we want them to understand that we're also fixing the smaller systems in both northern and southern Trelawny. We're not taking your water and moving elsewhere. We're also fixing the distribution issues within this constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a transformational national project. This project is a commitment made, a commitment kept. This project is truly a national strategic development project. Now, what it is a genuine transformation of water distribution along the north coast. And that transformation will benefit residential customers, it will benefit commercial customers. And oftentimes when you talk about water challenges in Negril because of the logwood treatment plant, persons can't quite wrap their minds around why are we also speaking about Martha Bray? Why are we speaking about Agwater Vale in St. Mary? Why are we speaking about the White River treatment plant on the boundary with St. Mary and St. Anne? Why are we speaking about Great River? Because they seem so far away. And I think Timothy in his earlier presentation, and certainly Dr. Chang, would have explained that this project seeks to achieve interlinkage between our varying water sources across the length and breadth of the North Coast. And it truly seeks to achieve resilience brought about from stable water supply. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a massive undertaking that is a subset of a broader transformation taking place within the water sector in Jamaica. Because of a well-run National Water Commission chairman and members of the board, and because of a well-run economy prime minister, this government, your government, is indeed investing 22 billion Jamaican dollars currently in open transactions, in open construction into the water sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean for Jamaicans? That investment comes on the back of previous investments, which since 2016 has seen 350,000 Jamaicans have better water supply today than they did then. But the $22 billion that we are underway with now is a subset of what we will do over the next 5 years to improve and build in resilience for water supply for some 900,000 Jamaicans. You see, a good economy, apparently, as you said, Prime Minister, can yam, but it can drink with the water supply that we are providing to Jamaicans also. Now, this specific project, the Western Resilience Water Project, Minister Bartlett, came about from many discussions. It came through many iterations. But to be fair to members of the JHTA and certainly the Negril Chamber of Commerce, who loudly advocated, and very positively so, because we are in a democracy and we must listen to citizens and respond to their needs. But the urgency came about with last year's drought in the northwest tip of the island, when the logwood facility in Hanover was producing at some times less than 10% of its capacity. Now that came about because of significant climate realities. The climate has changed, our weather patterns have shifted. We've even seen some hydraulic flows shift. Now that prompted a discussion. It prompted us to look at the entire system along the North Coast. And born of that is this project today, which this particular ceremony signifies the beginning of phase 1 of implementation. This particular project, or this phase of this project, will invest 28 billion Jamaican dollars in 2 transmission mains that will move water from the Martha Bray to the terminal reservoir in the center of St. James, which will transform the water supply in Montego Bay and its environs. Minister Bartlett, I'll come to Irwin Heights and Ryan Park shortly. because they will benefit too. So if you're in Westgate Hills, you will benefit too. If you are in Lucy, you will benefit. And you say, well, how do I benefit in Lucy? Well, because we'll no longer be pumping water into the ground from leaking pipes going into Montego Bay, there will be less pressure on Great River. Now, okay, well, there'll be less pressure on Great River to pump easterly. But we also acknowledge that the pipelines going into the west end of Negril, all the way from Great River, are also old. Many of these pipelines were laid actually in 1982, a little bit before I was born. So the truth is, this should have happened. This ceremony is about 23 years late, because we should have started this process in 2002. But if we acknowledge where we are, because of mistakes and misadventures of the past, we are now at that point where we're able to invest properly. So we will also be changing the transmission mains fully and totally from Lucy to the west end of Negril. There will be repairs and some replacements from the Great River Treatment Plant itself into Lucy. Now that is 68 kilometers total of pipe. At some points it will be as large as 36 inches, at other points it will be 24 inches of ductile iron pipes. Now these are massive pipes. There will be dislocation while we do this work. But Prime Minister, I have minuted, and I see members of the JHTA here, in our consultations, they said, you don't worry about the traffic when you're laying those pipes, because we need the pipes, Minister. I have that minuted, so I assure you we won't have any complaints about traffic during the construction phase of this project. But that is just phase one of a true transformation of the water distribution and production and total systems of the North Coast. Phase two will see significant increases in capacity and improvements in quality of water production. That will happen with the construction of 2 new water treatment plants, which we have engaged the World Bank for assistance. These will be done through PPPs. That will be done at Rio Bueno and indeed at Roaring River in Westmoreland. So we expect to add water treatment capacity. Now, there are 2 existing water treatment plants that we expect to significantly improve and get additional yields of over 10 million gallons daily between the Martha Brae system and indeed upgrades at the Great River system. So you see, Minister Bartlett, wherever you are intending to build, wherever the Prime Minister is building a housing scheme, wherever P.S. Williams is putting new roads, wherever our development journey is taking us, we're building in the water capacity to lay the base for that development. And we are proud of the work that has been done by the MEGJC, certainly through the Water Policy Unit, and we're proud of the work that has been done by the National Water Commission. But we're very thankful for the Prime Minister and his vision and commitment and his follow-through with the investment that is being made. Because you see, rainwater is free, but harnessing it is not free. Storing it is not free. Extracting it when it goes into the ground from wells is not free. Distributing it is certainly not free. It is for that reason we are putting our money where our mouth is. It's for that reason we thank the Prime Minister for his commitment to transforming water distribution in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the work that we are now doing in the water sector is 20 years late. There will be some pain points as we go through this transformation. It is also for that reason that in this season of choice we need to have honest discussions about where we are. I listened recently to someone who is no stranger to the political stage, former Member of Parliament from Westmoreland, who seems to have relocated, Madam MP, speak about water issues in northern Trelawny. And I wondered if this was the same individual who sat at the cabinet table, allocated nothing to the particular problem, allowed the pipes in the grill to cave in on themselves, to see people in the West End pay for trucking of water above their salary, at a cost above their salary. And you said to yourself, my goodness, my goodness. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to spend time looking back at those who created the problem. I am telling you that we are fixing the problem, and we are integrating our water systems. in a manner that gives you the certainty that when you go home to your house, you don't need to have a bath pan because you can take a shower. It'll give you the certainty that if you have piece of land that has been left to you, go build your house because you're going to have access to potable water. The work we are doing also says to those who are most vulnerable in our society that yes, because of climate change, you do need some storage. It's why your government has already this year distributed 13,000 black tanks across the country. It is because of how we have run the Water Commission and because of our commitment to you and our commitment to ensure that every single Jamaican has potable water, that your Prime Minister instructed in November of last year that those who were disconnected because of high bills, if they were pensioners, if they were disabled, if they were on PATH program, they needed an amnesty. It is why we are coming up on about 10,000 Jamaicans who have been reconnected. I think we're a little below now, but we're getting close. We have attracted $680 million of payments that we wouldn't have collected otherwise. But we have written off $4 billion Jamaican dollars from the backs of poor people to ensure people can reconnect to the water system. So, hear me out as I come to conclusion. We are giving the dividends to those who most need it by way of distributing water tanks, by way of taking the burden of heavy bills from their backs, while running a water commission that I believe for the first time in its existence has had 3 straight years of surplus. So you make a surplus, you pass on the dividends to those who most need it. But in running the water commission well, in ensuring that the government is run well under your Prime Minister, we have the funds to invest $28 billion on this project without a dollar of debt. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a little over 2 years, we know that we will be well on the way. We are very clear that there is more work to do and there are more announcements to make. And those announcements have to yield tangible results. But whether you're in St. Mary, we'll break ground soon on Agawata Vale. And that will solve 30 years of water crisis in Port Maria. Whether you are somewhere near White River on Western St. Mary's boundary, we are going to solve your issue. If you are currently being supplied by Logwood, this will support you in Hanover and Negril. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of work to do, and we need serious people to do that work. For that reason, I am thankful to serve with Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness as we transform the water sector. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Honorable Matthew Samuda, Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. $28 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of our money. Yes, citizens of this country. Yes, and that's so very, very important. I think the chairman said it earlier on. It's a multi-billion-dollar project that will change Jamaica forever. A bold, bold, bold investment in our health, in our tourism, in our agriculture, in our manufacturing, in all the things that will make us tick as a nation. Thank you so much for your work, Minister Samuda. And at this time, I believe I glimpsed him coming in earlier on. A devoted father, a devoted husband, a man of faith known for his heartfelt performances and a very humble spirit. He captured the hearts of Jamaicans in 2024 and became our Digital Rising Star for that year. So if you're ready for a little bit of entertainment at this time, please put your hands together for Akin Fennell, our Digital Rising Star winner of 2024. Akin, your time.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed. I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I will lift up my hands to the hills and bless the Lord. Yes. So with my two hands in the air, as far as I can. Yes. I mean, say with my two hands in the air, as far as I can. With my two hands in the air, as far as I can. Lift up your hands in the air if you know you. Yeah. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing. Life is a lesson. Lift up my hands to the hills and bless. Oh, yes. Sometimes I'm lost and far from home, but I find my way. I follow my heart. I know I'll be fine someday. But while I'm lost, I learn and live. What do you say? Let's have a good time until that day. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a lesson. So when the evening comes, I lift up my hands to the hills with bless. Oh, yes. Jamaica, with my two hands in the air as far as I. Come on. As far as I can. Yes. I wish I lift up your hands in the air if you know we can. Lift up your hands in the air. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that life is a blessing, life is a lesson. Ooh, yeah. Lift up your hands in the air, Jamaica we bless. Oh, yes, with my two hands in the air. Oh, every morning I'm rise, I'm stare at the sun. I know that life is a blessing, life is a blessing. Ooh, with my two hands in the air, as far as, with my two hands in the air, as far as I can. Thank you.
Ooh. I kind of felt like I was going to get a little bit more, but put your hands together for Akin Fennell. Just getting a little taste of this young man's talent. And tell you, he's going places. Vision, they say, without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes time. But vision with action can change the world. Allow me to bring to the lectern at this time Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you everyone. Thank you. You're all looking so lovely, and it is indeed my pleasure to be with you this afternoon to launch, break ground, this very important project, the Western Resilience Water Project, groundbreaking for Phase 1. Let me begin my presentation to you by reflecting on the many calls that are made to radio stations on a daily basis about ordinary Jamaicans who do not have this most important life-giving commodity of water. And I want them to know that I literally hear almost all of these calls because I monitor the radios, I monitor the programs, and I listen very carefully to the complaints that are made. And I want every Jamaican that is without water today to know that I know. But more than that, it is not knowledge without concern. I know and I care. And it is more than sympathy or empathy. I am doing something about it. And I would wish you to have faith in that. It is difficult after decades of having faith to be asked to continue to have faith. But what is the alternative? The alternative is despair. But in me and the government I administer in your behalf, you can take the biblical admonition of faith. It's the substance of things hoped for. You can take this project today as the substance of the delivery of resilient water into your pipes. And it is the evidence of the things you have not seen, but you figure it's there, you know it's there. Well, you have the evidence of it today. In fact, I would want you to consider that in 2017, a community in southeast St. Mary called Gibbs Hill had no water. And while I was campaigning in 2015, I visited Gibbs Hill. In the same way, I visited another small community in the parish of Clarendon called Rosewell. And they had no water. And they were complaining. And they called the radio stations. And I, when I became Prime Minister, and having made the commitment, I set about fulfilling it. The people of Rosewell, the people of Gibbs Hill now have water. We put in the investment. Like the billions of dollars of investments we have made right across Jamaica to make communities that previously were without water, they have water now. But those persons no longer call the radio stations. And I would wish that some of them would call and say, you know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I did not have, but I have now. Because the narrative that is created is that somehow the entire Jamaica is without water. So let's sum up those 2 points. Point number 1, for the communities that are without water now, your voice is heard. I personally care about it. And the government that I administer on your behalf, we are working hard to correct and improve. And you can take hope and have faith because others that were in your position now have water. And the government is now active with 425 million US dollars of investment, or 67.5 billion Jamaican dollars of investment in the water supply for the western end of the island that is going to, one, ensure that you have reliable water supply, two, ensure that the water supply is expanded to those who now don't have, and three, to ensure that in the event of shocks, whether they be weather shocks or other kinds of shocks, that you will have water. And that is not a promise. That is a commitment that is active and strongly made. And I want to put that commitment in perspective. It's now speaking to those persons who don't have water. The government of Jamaica allocated $45 billion for the Spark program. Recall that the Spark program is split into two. 20 billion is for the roads that pass your house, the local roads. And under that program, we will probably do about 600 roads. So you see, for this specific project, the extent of the expenditure, this project is $67.5 billion granted over 6 years. The Spark program, one element of it, is $20 billion, which will likely go over 2 to 3 years. And that's for the entire island. So I want you to see how seriously the government takes the water infrastructure. I have to put it in this context because the national narrative sometimes is skewed and is diverted by discussions that may not benefit from the facts of the situation. Now, granted, there will always be persons who choose to believe what they want, and no matter what facts are presented to them, they will be of the same view still. But it is my duty to bring the facts to you for you to choose. It is attributed to Einstein, the great physicist, though we can't find evidence that he actually said it. But it is usually attributed to him that the people who created the problem cannot be the same people to solve it. What we know he said is that the same thinking that created the problem can't be the same thinking to solve the problem. But the same people who created the problem usually have the same thinking in the first place. And they don't change, and therefore you can't ask them to go and solve the problem. What is the problem? Why a returning resident who lived for many years in the United States would move back to Jamaica in our old district and is of the view that somehow, you know, the existing government is doing nothing. And it is ineffective government why there is no water. Now, in a sense, she is correct. But the problem has many dimensions. It is a complex problem as to why we have a water challenge. And though it is complex, it is also contradictory, because all of you would have grown up in school knowing Jamaica to be the land of wood and water. And that adds to the frustration. At the same time that we have rivers and deep wells and all kinds of hydrological features. There are communities that are simply dry and without. At the same time, we get heavy floods. And then in a few weeks, the rivers are dry. Well, historically, we did not settle where we had established water supply. So we are dealing with a historical settlement pattern where population centers are not in proximity to water sources. So that means that there has to be massive investments in bringing water from sources to population centers. We had to do a massive one of this in the 1980s when we brought water in from St. Thomas to feed the population of Kingston. And by the way, that project is what has kept Kingston alive. In the 1990s, we did another project where we brought water in from the Rio Cobre and from the Tullow Springs into Kingston. This project that we are speaking about, again, that's bringing water from all kinds of sources. Martha Brae, White River, to as far as into Negril. So you see that though we are blessed with water, and the water falls freely from the sky, the pipeline has to be purchased. The well has to be dug. The tanks for storage have to be built, not to mention the pumps and the lovely workers at the NWC that have to be paid. So water is an expensive infrastructure, and it becomes even more expensive because of our history of spatial settlement and our geography. But there is truth in the view that government has been ineffective. Now, in a debate in Parliament on roads, I made the point that this administration is not to be blamed for bad roads or even for lack of water. However, we are responsible. It's a massive distinction. Because at the source of the government problem in water, or the government problems in roads, or the government problem in safety and security, or the government problem in health, is the management of the economy. Because for decades, you have been fed a narrative that the economy does not matter. There are politicians who would have stood up to you and say, the economy can't nyam. Meaning, don't tell me about GDP growth, inflation, debt cut, interest rate low, inflation low. Don't tell me about that. Because, you know, it has no impact necessarily on my household. And that has been the trick that has destroyed wise voting in Jamaica. Because you have separated the means of delivering the things you want from the wherewithal to do it. The economy can drink. The economy keep you healthy. The economy keep you safe. The economy provide you road. The economy provide you school. And until the Jamaican electorate understands that it is about the economy, Guyana recently decided to give an unconditional cash transfer to its citizens from its national budget. And they did several of it. They gave out the household something like $400 US. They gave students who are going to sit their CSEC exams. They gave them a grant. Where did they get this cash from? They are building massive highways. If you go to Guyana now, Guyana's growth rate is, I figure it's in the 50% growth rate, high growth rate. Where did all of that come from? Guyana discovered oil. Where are we getting $67.5 billion to spend on this project? Where are we getting $45 billion to spend on Spark? Where are we getting the money to give you $1 billion in the Solidarity Program, a give back to 50,000 Jamaicans who did not receive any benefits at all? They are not on PATH or any of the social safety net, and they did not receive the reverse tax credit. Where did that come from? It came from the dividends from the good management of your economy. So discovering good management of the economy is the equivalent of discovering oil. Take that away, and you end up in a situation where your spatial growth outpaces your infrastructure. Take that away, and the actions of criminal elements in your society outpaces your law enforcement capability. Take that away, and your hospitals fall into disrepair, and they are unable to give you the service that you require. Take that away, and your pipes, your pumping stations, your tanks, they deteriorate, and you have no water. Take that away, and your roads can't be repaired. But no, not everyone looks at it that way. Asphalt falls from the sky like water falls from the sky. So I make this point to you today, that we are able to gather this large crowd of very proud Jamaicans who are looking with great hopes that their water situation will be solved, that all the other things that they hope for will materialize, because we have finally addressed the engine of delivery, which is the economy. It's not perfect. The economy is still in a fragile state. But I want you to think on this word that I'm going to use, and it is in the title of this project: resilience. So Jamaica was considered in many instances the basket case of the region because of our debt situation. We have moved the debt from 120, 130% of GDP. The debt is now at 68% of GDP. In fact, it might even go down a little bit more. We were once considered the crime capital of the region. We have moved the murder rate from 49 per 100,000 to now, halfway through the year, we are about 25 per 100,000. In both instances, it's government policy. Government spent almost $90 billion on our national security. $90 billion. 3 times what was spent in the previous 9 years. But there are those who would want to say, no, the government has nothing to do with this, it's the police. I mean, all of a sudden, the police get new cars, new technology, new kit. It just materialized, like somebody snapped their fingers and it just happened. And of course, there are those who want to believe that. Well, if you believe that, you go ahead. But the reality is that government matters. And who governs your country matters. And the platform on which I stand on is a platform that is of the greatest integrity. The greatest integrity is someone who says, this is what we commit to, and does it. So I go back to all the callers to the radio programs who are frustrated about your water. We will bring water to your district. We will bring water to your community. You will be able to stand in your brand new bathroom that you have built with your soaking tub and all the other modern amenities and have flowing potable water in your home. This is something that this administration is committed to, not just by words, but by allocation. By running your economy well, by using your tax dollars well and wisely, we will put in place the systems to be able to deliver the benefit that you want. It is not, however, going to happen before the next election, as some people would want you to believe. What we are certain of is that we have put in place systems. And as I look to close my presentation to this audience that is obviously wrapped by every word that I have said, as I close my presentation to you, I run the Mona Dam most mornings. That infrastructure was built almost 80 years ago. It was built by a colonial grant. And it continues to serve parts of Kingston and St. Andrew. In fact, it is a critical piece of infrastructure, indispensable. As is the Hermitage Dam, which is heading towards 100 years old. Again, built by the colonial government. Both infrastructure are aged. Aged. More so, the Hermitage Dam, which at some point in time, we will have to effect massive repairs or do some other innovative things to it for it to last another 100 years. Infrastructure, whether it is a reservoir or a dam, it takes time to construct. So I want everyone who is calling and saying, I need my water today, to bear this in mind. To construct any infrastructure, you're looking at 6 months to 2 years. But in today's world, the time for planning sometimes is longer than the time for actual construction. Because you, the electorate, the citizens, the residents, also want probity, accountability, transparency, reporting in the process of making these massive allocations. You want to be assured that every dollar of that 67.5 billion Jamaican dollars ends up in the project and not in someone's pocket. So there is a period of time for the process of accountability, as there is a period of time for the process of construction. I did not wake up this morning and say to Minister Sabuda, come, let us go break ground for this $67 billion project. You would have heard when the project was dreamt of, Timothy pointed out that E.G. Hunter, former managing director, thought that we needed a ring around parts of Jamaica to supply water. Then there was a break in a transmission main that took water from St. Catherine into Kingston. And at that point in time, we had to allocate almost $3 billion to repair it. Then there was a break on this line again, which affected all the communities, in particularly those tourism communities. And the cabinet sat down and said, you know what? We need to make this investment. 2 years ago, I announced in Parliament that we're going to do it. And we are now here today to break ground. In the same way that 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago, we decided that we would do, or the vision of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road was born. But previous governments couldn't do it because they just didn't have the wherewithal, the resources. They didn't manage the economy well. Now, 2 years ago, we broke ground. I'm wearing a shirt similar to this. And I can stand here today, 2 years hence, and I'm very pleased to see that they have started asphalting, putting on the final layer on parts of the road. But that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes. So I understand your frustration. I can't come and lie to you and tell you that, you know, you're going to get the election, the water, 10 days after the election. Or we're going to come and build 50,000 houses. I can't come and tell you falsehoods. There are processes in place. But what you should take hope in is that the processes are funded, you see evidence of it working, and we continue to manage the engine of the economy that will deliver these projects. So for all the people who are concerned, have faith. The water is coming in a resilient way, meaning that if you have drought, you will still have water. If one main break, we'll be able to divert water to somewhere else. If one pump goes down, you will continue to have water because the system is resilient. That's the idea of what we are doing. That is the Western Water Resilience Project. That is what we're doing. So ladies and gentlemen, you have been a gracious audience. I hope that I have been able to stretch your minds a bit and who knows, maybe confront some long existing biases, and maybe there is a change of view or a sharpening of views. God bless you and thank you. Choose Jamaica.
Vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes time. Vision with action will change Jamaica. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And let me bring to the lectern, as we wrap things up for today, this very momentous occasion, let me bring Ms. Tova Hamilton, Member of Parliament for Trelawny Northern. She comes to do the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. Today we give thanks not just with words, but with a deep gratitude of a people whose parched dreams are finally being quenched by progress. My constituents and I are especially elated to hear of the imminent completion of the Bounty Hall system. This community has been having water challenges, Minister, from before I was born. So you can imagine the impact of this project. It is indeed an honor to offer this vote of thanks at what is a watershed moment, not only for Trelawny, but for the entire western region of our island. This groundbreaking represents far more than pipes and pumps. It is the manifestation of vision, resilience, and the unyielding belief that water, like hope, must reach every corner of this land. Let me first extend heartfelt thanks to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, whose commitment to infrastructure and sustainable development is nothing short of refreshing and continues to transform lives. You are the architect of possibility, sir, and we thank you. To the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Minister Matthew Samuda, and the entire team at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, thank you for navigating the vast and often complex channels of policy, funding, and coordination that gave form to this multi-billion-dollar dream. To the National Water Commission, led by its board, management, and staff, thank you for being the guardians of Jamaica's most precious resource. Your mandate is sacred. Water is life. And today we're witnessing your dedication to delivering it, not as a privilege, but as a right. To our international partners, the French Embassy, the European Union, merci. Your belief in Jamaica's future flows generously through this project. To Vinci Construction, thank you for bringing the technical precision that will turn blueprints into lifelines. And now allow me to acknowledge the other pillars of today's success. The Reverend Sheldon Ashman, thank you for starting us off on a spiritual high. Your prayer reminded us that before there can be water from the earth, there must be grace from above. May this project always be covered in that grace. To our Digital Rising Stars winner, your performance was like rain in drought. You moved us. You reminded us that Jamaica is rich not only in natural resources, but in human talent. Continue to shine. To our moderator, who expertly and elegantly guided us through today's proceedings, thank you for keeping the program flowing smoothly. Like any great reservoir, you managed the pressure and ensured every moment counted. To my parliamentary colleagues, councillors, mayors, and of course the ever-faithful people of Trelawny and Western Jamaica, today you are the real VIPs. You are not just beneficiaries, you are the co-owners of this moment. You dared to believe that clean, reliable, round-the-clock water could one day be your reality. And here we are, on the brink of a new flow of life, opportunity, and growth. This is phase one of a US $425 million journey, a historic declaration that Jamaica will no longer be held hostage by droughts, aging infrastructure, or climate uncertainty. From Martha Brae to Negril, Falmouth to Miami Bay, we're building resilience one pipe at a time. We will reduce losses, expand the capacity, and ensure service reliability. That means more homes with steady water, more businesses with confidence to grow, and more children with access to clean and safe hydration. As Member of Parliament for Trelawny Northern, I stand proud yet humbled. Proud of what we are achieving, humbled by the trust placed in us to deliver. As we move from blueprint to backhoe, from groundbreaking to grand opening, let us not lose sight of the bigger picture. Let this be a reminder of what is possible when partnerships align, when leadership is steadfast, and when people come together with purpose. So today, let the word go forth. Water is on the way, not just for some, but for all. Not just for now, but for the next generation. And as we close, I leave with you one rallying call. Let us choose Jamaica, choose development, choose unity, choose to move forward together. Thank you, and may the blessings flow abundantly and endlessly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam MP, for thanking all of us this afternoon. Now we're at that time when we're going to have the official groundbreaking. And I believe, Mr. Prime Minister, you also have a special duty, a demonstration of sorts. And I trust you're up to the task, sir. But we will see. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to take you through the program this afternoon. And I just want to leave you with this quote that says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, and I'm going to ask that we allow the Prime Minister, accompanied by our Deputy Prime Minister, our Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, our Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, Minister Homer Davis, MP Heroy Clark, MP Morland Wilson, Mrs. Arlene Williams, our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, our Chairman of the Board of the Commissioners of the National Water Commission, and of course, Mr. Timothy Delabar, Country Manager. And I think that would be the number of persons that we have down to, I think that's the number of forks or shovels that we have. So we're going to invite you to make your way to my right, where those shovels are. Your hard hats are also there, and we ask that you don them so that we can get the groundbreaking out of the way. And of course, the others of us are welcome to join them on the other side. All right? For those persons who are going on
want to make sure we get a lovely shot of this. So.
One, two, three, four,
All right,
five.
so the
One,
Western
two, three,
Resilience
four.
Water Project launch and groundbreaking. And we're going to ask the panelists to lead this process.
What's over there? What's over there?
Oh, it's over.
You don't know much of mine, you never know.
Oh, my chest, you can lean back here. The in front here. I'm live here.
Robin. Start from this side. Yes, right beside here. It's half balance, brother. Look at the cameras, look at the cameras.
1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Again. Again.
All right,
No,
Prime Minister knows let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
Come back so we can get some distance. Capital.
Oh, sorry. Enough, go move, man.
Robin.
Wanna not move?
Jeremy. Oh, Yes,